Hi guys, welcome to day 20 of the 60-day DAS Trader Challenge. Today is Wednesday, 5th of July, the day after the 4th of July public holiday and the markets were closed. And we also had half a day open on Monday. Now, today was a really good day. I was very happy with how I did. I'm beginning to notice that when Andrew shows us his watch list at about 9:15 in the morning, I can usually do my own due diligence, not always yet, but I can pretty much do my own due diligence in terms of what could be a good setup and maybe what isn't such a good setup. And then once the market opens, I'm becoming a little bit more comfortable with choosing my own trades rather than maybe following everything that's happening in the chat room. And that's what I did today. Today I took only 3 trades, which I think is my record in terms of the profit that generated. So in terms of 3 trades, and you can see that there's not many executions, which is great. I think I had, I think something like, actually whatever this is, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I think I had 18 executions, which is great because it keeps the commissions down. So the P&L stands at $446. So I made 138 on BIDU, 124 on CLSN, which was a low float momentum long trade, and 184 on DVD, which was just a really nice trade in terms of the way that it worked out and played out. So let's go through the first one, and I've also got a surprise for you guys at the end as well. I want to show you something really cool. Okay, so BIDU. So this was a trade that was on the watch list, but one that the chat room didn't really look at much, and I don't think anyone took it. Now, the reason I got into this, and I stayed away from the other one, which was Tesla. Tesla for me is just too expensive. It's like $348 or $350. For me, I can't really take a decent position in that. It's too expensive for me. I try and stay away from that. Although you can get, a bigger move on that, I guess. This is what I focused on today. BIDU, also an expensive stock, no doubt about it. And I took way too much size on this. I took like 400 shares, which is almost like, I don't know, $70,000 buying power, and I've got $100,000 buying power. So I overcapitalized on this. I should have gone in 200 shares. And that's one thing I did wrong in this trade. Everything else I think worked out pretty well. So I'm aware of that, and I've just got to be a little bit careful going forward, especially with a stock this expensive. Now, normally I would give a candle 5 minutes, right, to set up. But I saw this massive weakness coming in. I thought this looks pretty weak, and I'm going to go for it. Now, my entry on BIDU was at 9:31 and 35 seconds. So literally a minute and a half after the market opened, I was in there. Now, normally I give everything 5 minutes to kind of settle down and see which way the action is running. But I don't know, maybe it's just something that I just had a feeling that I just saw the price action and it convinced me that this would go down further. Maybe I got a bit lucky, I'm not sure. I will experiment a little bit with this just to see how things go. But I know there's a very good reason for waiting for the first 1 minute candle close, because that gives you direction. It's a bit risky going in before that. But I got in not too far. Actually, it was a fair bit away from the VWAP. The VWAP was my stop at $185.15. And I got in here at 184.66. So it's at 34 cents. I think I've got it here as well. I got in like 59 cents below the VWAP. So I would say, a fair distance away. So maybe I even got in here late. But, you're in the first 5 minutes. You got to be able to kind of suss out which way it's going to go. You don't want to just go in blindly because it's coming near the VWAP. You've got to make sure it's actually breaking down. So the risk return wasn't that great. It's, 1.5 almost. So not even 2 really when I thought about it. Now when I analyze the trade, I mean, my first profit target was the 50-day simple moving average here, and my second target was the 200-day moving average. Now, as you can see, I pretty much covered when it got to here. Now, see this little red triangle? I wanted to cover there, but I made a mistake and I actually added to my position. So just a hotkey error that occurred there. So I made 2 mistakes on this trade. One, my size was way too big for a trade this expensive, this stock, and I made a hotkey error. So it just goes to show that sometimes if you're, you can get lucky. I mean, yes, I thought this was a pretty good risk reward when I took it. Now looking back on it, wasn't that great, but I think I had decent execution on it. So maybe I got a bit lucky with the size, but this one worked out. So not too bad on that one. Then let's go to the second one, which was CLSN. CLSN was the low flow momentum stock of the day. There was another one, I think MSDI, if I'm correct. That turned out to be a better one than this one, but this is the one I stuck to. I actually didn't even have that one on watch. Now with this one, I got in here before the market opened, and I got in here with, now the news was really good. They had some kind of progress on their drug to do with ovarian cancer, and it seemed to have a good follow through and a good impact and good results. Now you've got to be careful. You don't want to be the one that interprets the news. You've got to let the market interpret the news. So if you think it's crap or great news, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all what you think. It matters how the market reacts to it. So I wanted to stay away from having any bias, but I saw a lot of momentum coming into this as soon as the news came out at 8 o'clock this morning. And I was just watching it, and it gapped up massively here, something like 60 cents. Then I was a little bit conservative. I didn't want to go in, obviously, at the high of day, which is actually what I ended up doing. I got in here at the high of day. It's one of my little weaknesses, not little weaknesses, it's one of my weaknesses that I still tend to sometimes kind of get caught up in the moment. And I got in here with 400 shares, which was good discipline. I didn't go crazy or anything. Then I added a little bit more here, added a little bit more here as it just kept coming a little bit down. And then I finally added here at the VWAP as well. Now I added just a tiny bit below the VWAP. Now if this had broken to like 50, I would have been out of there. I would have had a loss of 12 cents on 2,000 shares. So I would have lost 100, is that right? Sorry, that's probably more than that. I would have lost 12 cents and I held 2,000 shares. So $240 is what I would have lost on this trade had it gone down to $2.50, which is pretty much the 20-day moving average. Now my maximum loss for the day is $300, so that could have been pretty much curtains for today. But it worked out. I mean, I was watching it for a while. It wasn't that I was just going in the blind. I was watching it, and then it kind of sprung up a little bit. Actually, this is where I added a little bit below the VWAP. Sorry, it was over here. So this is about just before market open. Now, the reason I didn't sell this at market open, before the market open, is because I saw that the volume was coming in massively as soon as the market opened. Even before I saw this white candle moving up, I thought this might be okay out of the gates, and it pulled down a little bit, but I managed to make a profit on this. I got out here, sold 1,000 shares here, and then another 500 because it didn't have that kind of spurt to carry it forth. And then I sold my remaining 500 shares here. I didn't want to make a loss on it. It actually did dip below that before finally coming up. And I didn't have, you know, I wrote here that I didn't have, you know, the kind of balls to hold 2,000 shares to this level because it was too uncomfortable for me to hold that many shares, that size, and risk, you know, such a big move against me. So that was that. And then DBD, really one of the nicest trades, stress-free, if you can call that, if you can ever have a trade that's stress-free. Just had a massive gap down here early this morning and was watching it out of the gates. Now, this one I got in, DBD. This one I got in also really quickly, almost, you know, 2 minutes as the market opened. So I didn't wait for this candle to make the first 5-minute candle either. But the reason is I just saw this weakness, you know, it was just dropping below the VWAP, and I didn't think it was going to have the strength to kind of come up and go through that, you know, through that sheer wall of sellers. So I had like a perfect entry here, pretty much at the VWAP. And I covered here, which was my first target at the low of day. It ended up going quite a bit lower, and you know, normally I try to leave like 50 shares. I try to leave like a sliver, as I call it, of shares, just to kind of hang on and see where it leads me. And you know, this would have been perfect. This would have been another $75 had I left 50 shares on. But you know, look, you know, fantastic day. You know, in no way, shape, or form am I you know, getting greedy or thinking that, you know, this was a bad trade. This was a really rock solid trade. You know, really good entry. At no point did I feel threatened or scared or uncomfortable. There was nothing in this trade to make me uncomfortable in the sense that I'm going in the wrong direction. It was just really smooth, went all the way down, nice, good price action, and I covered here in 3 lots. And that was it. That was my day. So really good, really happy with how things are going. Now let me show you what I wanted to show you or mention beforehand. I'm going to be releasing a journal, an Excel journal that will cover all of your trades. Very easy to use. Now, I won't go into all the details today, but just to suffice that I'm hoping to have this released probably by next week, middle of next week, middle of July. The way it'll work really quickly is that you will, if you have DAS, then it makes it really simple, because all you do is you basically copy your trades, you just export your trades into this sheet here. In here, you paste it in here. You run the macro, you put the data here, you run the macro, and the macro, what it does is it spits out this, which are my trades for today. And I even have linked my charts to it. So if you click on a link, so for example, if you click on, say, CLSN, this is a chart that I showed you a couple of seconds ago. It's really nice and easy to use, and you can click on any of these links and it just loads the chart. So really easy to use. You've got all your metrics here that you use for the trade. If you don't have DAS, that's still cool. All you really got to do, and you don't have to put them in any order, right? That's the magic part. You don't need to put your orders in sell, buy, sell, buy. You just got to get the executions to have your time, your symbol, your side, your price, quantity, route. You don't really need that, but it's just what I've got within the DAS export, so I kept it in there. The margin, don't need it either, but you need to have something in there for it to work, and P&L you need to have, because that works out everything. Now, it also inputs what strategy you've used. I use 2 strategies, but I'll try and make it more flexible so you can have your own strategies in here. You have then what it spits out, the output is this, the direction, your profit, which is a combination of all this. Now, it works out the commissions based on interactive brokers, which charge 0.005 per share, or $1 minimum. So this is my commission for every execution. Your commissions total, which is just a summary of this. Then you have your trade ID, which is, I'll show in a second why it's important. You have your win and loss, whether it was a win or a loss, and then how long I held it for. So this is in minutes. This is also good. I'm going to introduce another metric to work it out. Then in here, you've got your daily snapshot. So you basically copy in a couple of things from here as well, and it draws you like a graph to show you your running daily total in your P&L. And in here as well, it shows you how much money you made realized gross, and then how much you made here in terms of net, then how many trades you have here, and execution. So just a really nice, easy kind of visual thing. And in here, you have all your stats, so how many trades you took, your net profit, your win rate for everything, gross net profit, your expectancy, average winning trades, all the things that you need to have. I've still got a couple of things I need to work on, like maximum drawdown and average return on trade, but it's pretty much already done. And then it charts your daily net P&L, and also how many trades you took to achieve your daily P&L. Then here you have your cumulative weekly gross profit week on week, and these are also bar charts to show you how well you've done each week. You've got your net equity curve here, and I'm also going to introduce this winning percentage over the last 30 days. Now down here, if you want to get a bit more technical, you've got pretty much the summary of all of these, but just broken down by each day. So how many trades you took, in week 1, in week 2 on the Monday, how many you took on, week 4 on a Tuesday. So you've got all that. You've got the average of all of those. You've got your gross profit for each day of the week, and you can work out your average. You've got your loss, how much you make, number of executions, as well as the volume that you've traded. And then there's going to be a dashboard here, which will have things like your profitability versus number of trades, so you can see which day of the week you're most consistent with, and all these other things like number of executions, trade distribution, which share size do you make most money in, and all these other things as well. And then here I'm still going to work on some reports, and that's pretty much it. So this will hopefully be ready quite soon, middle of next week. If you want to have a copy, it'll be free. Although it'd be nice to get a bit of a donation, because I spent a little bit of money to get a freelancer to help me with the macro, and I've spent, I think, close now to 100 hours just putting it all together and working all the reports. So hopefully this will be ready for next week, and please feel free to keep an eye out on the blog, which is daytradearcade.com, and it'll have all the details there. So other than that, guys, wishing you a really great rest of the day, and I will be seeing you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Cheers.